Well, hopefully by now you're rolling along in corn or soybean harvest on your farm, and when you're doing that, it's the most important time of the year for you to evaluate some of the decisions that you made during the year. Hopefully you're testing a number of different things, new technologies. We like to do that on our own farm, but you've got to really focus on return on investment, because oftentimes the yield gains might be small, but the returns on investment could be huge.
When you think about different input costs on your farm, with Roundup getting down to $2 or $3 an acre, and you say, wow, maybe I could afford to spray an extra time. Or something even less expensive, how about inoculant on your soybeans? We're standing right by a soybean field here that was inoculated, and a few years back, this particular field had a 5.5 bushel advantage using inoculant versus not using any inoculant.
Yeah, when we did strip trials through the field, and so we were able to verify that going strip by strip by strip, and it was consistently gaining just a huge amount of yield. That doesn't happen very often. A lot of times all we're gaining with inoculant is 1 to 2 bushels. And most of the time farmers will say, oh, 1 to 2 bushels, it's not even worth it. But did you figure return on investment when soybeans are worth $10 a bushel? Even if you gain 1 bushel, if inoculant costs you $2, what's the ROI on that? Well, I mean, you look at your net return on investment, you gained $8 net from a $2 investment. That's 400% return on investment. And if you figure that out on an APR basis, let's say that you bought the inoculant 6 months before you harvested, well, that number doubles. So you're talking 800% net return on investment on an APR basis. That's huge. Yet, you might say, well, it's only a bushel, it's not worth it. I'll take the 800% APR return.
Well, if we have a 5 bushel difference in soybean fields, we can see that pretty easy on the yield monitor. We can see it on the yield maps. When we have a 1 bushel difference, we probably aren't going to see it, because if you look at your yield maps, many times you're looking at 3 bushel or 5 bushel breaks when it goes from one color to the next. Well, 1 bushel doesn't even show up. You need to pay attention to what you're doing out in the field and to what kind of breaks you're looking at on your yield maps.
Another thing we've looked at in recent years has been soybean aphid insecticides, and I just laugh at some of these numbers that come out. It takes 250 aphids to reach the economic threshold. Get real. When it only costs you $3 an acre to throw some insecticide out there, and a bushel of soybeans is worth $10, you can't honestly tell me that with 50 aphids per plant, you're not at least going to gain 1/3 of a bushel. No way. A lot of times with 50 aphids, we're gaining 5 to even 10 bushels. I'm not saying that all these things are going to pay off for you. All I'm saying is make sure that you're actually looking at the numbers this fall, and if you're showing no yield gain, by all means, don't do it again in the future. Don't waste the money. But if you can consistently gain even a small amount and get a small yield gain, look at the return on investment. If the return on investment is great, you got to keep doing it again and again.
Well, I've got one more return on investment tip for you. Control your weed of the week. It's a really bad one. We'll show you how to get it done on your farm coming up next.